All right, now let's jump over and talk about DC, and more specifically, the Blue Beetle trailer just dropped, I believe, a couple of days ago from the uploading of this video as we're talking about it. And everyone and their grandmother is losing their minds over this one line that is at the very, very end of the trailer.
Whoa, it's like Batman stuff.
Batman's a fascist.
Now, me personally, I saw this for what it was. It was simply just to generate outrage marketing and nothing more. And as per usual, you've got people like Geeks and Gamers and Yellow Flash 2 coming out and basically saying something to the effect of, well, I would have seen the movie, but after that line of you calling Batman a fascist, I'm really having second thoughts. Right? What is the benefit of outrage marketing? It's to get people talking about your movie. Good or bad is irrelevant. It gets people talking about it. But I'm not here to talk about the outrage marketing and how much I am offended by that one line at the end of the trailer, which for all we know could have just been made for the trailer but cut from the final movie. What I want to talk about is, is Blue Beetle gonna be a success or a failure? Again, I don't care about the outrage marketing, and I'm gonna cut through the bullshit and just say this. I think the time for Blue Beetle has come and gone. Right, and I know that, people have, optimism. Shola Maranduena, who's obviously the lead, was talking to Slash Film about integrating Blue Beetle into the larger DCEU, saying right here, quote, there's always room for, especially as we kind of are changing, maybe what the vision looks like for the future of DC. I think to your point, Blue Beetle has the potential to be a great catapult for this new vision. And I think that it's been the point that it's stood alone since the beginning. It's not something that we've had to remove ourselves from the greater universe. It's always naturally, inherently felt like standalone. And if they want to incorporate it with the rest of the universe, I'd be super excited. But at the end of the day, getting the doors open for all the tremendous people in front of and behind the camera, that's what's important. End quote. And even James Gunn had straight up said this quote. I think we've gotten lucky with the next 4 movies, frankly, because we have Shazam, which leads into the Flash, which resets everything, which then goes to Blue Beetle, which is totally disconnected. He can totally be a part of the DCEU. Right now, James Gunn's comments on the surface are not terrible. However, when you also weigh in about his, DC Universe plan that he announced that was beginning 2025, if we look at the 5 announced movies, are Superman Legacy, The Authority, The Brave and the Bold, which is going to be another Batman story, yet they're still making the Batman Part 2, but that's not connected. So talk about a hell of a lot of confusion there. But anyway, the other movies are Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and Swamp Thing. Then you have the television shows being announced, which were Creature Commandos, Waller, Lanterns, Paradise Lost, and Booster Gold. So where does Blue Beetle fit within his DC Universe plan? Why wouldn't he just come out from the beginning and say, yes, we plan on making Blue Beetle we plan on making Blue Beetle an integral part of the DC Universe? Now, I want to circle back to a point where I said, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, right? I actually want to go back and bring up this comment, right? That Blue Beetle has the potential to be a catapult for this new vision. I would argue a lot of DC fans have very short-term memories about the DCEU in general, right? If you remember, Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds was originally supposed to kickstart the entire DCEU, but that movie bombed so badly that they moved on. Then you had Man of Steel come out, and while Man of Steel was incredibly divisive, it still made over $500 million globally at the time. So they said, bada bing, bada boom, here's where we're starting our DCEU, is dark, moody, the hot topic version of Superman. Right? And then you go into Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, which did make a lot of money at the time. It made $872,395,091 worldwide at the time. But Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice is often ridiculed for the fact that, well, this is DC trying to now play catch up with Marvel because they're trying to build up to Justice League without all of the build up that Marvel did for the Avengers. Then Suicide Squad comes out, and it's basically just a ripoff of the Raid, and also you have this inherent problem with the movie of why would you send in a girl with a baseball bat, a guy with a boomerang, and a sharpshooter to take on a supernatural enemy? Made absolutely no sense. The only DC movie to really catch on from the initial incarnation was Wonder Woman, and that really was it. And people forget, and this is why I'm saying that DC fans have short-term memories, that there was already an attempted pivot in the DCEU with the release of Aquaman. You know, Aquaman was the only DCEU movie to make more than $1 billion, right? But that also marked the shift, the shift that DC started with. Okay, we're gonna get away from the Zack Snyder BS. Right, we're gonna get away from all this. We're gonna get away from all the Zack Snyder bullshit. We're gonna lighten it up. You know, we've listened to the criticism, and then Shazam comes out. Sure, the first Shazam movie didn't make a whole lot of money, but it was still very, very well regarded. And then Birds of Prey comes out, and everyone says, "Why the hell are they making Birds of Prey?" And the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. And the whole controversy behind that one was that movie was R-rated for the sake of being R-rated, right? Now when did the DCEU start going off the rails? Wonder Woman 1984 is when it started going off the rails once again. That this isn't really that. Is Patty Jenkins really responsible for the success of the first Wonder Woman, or were there other factors at play? And then you have the hashtag release the Snyder Cut movement, and Warner Brothers, to their own detriment, decided, you know what, we're gonna go back and we are gonna release the Zack Snyder Cut of Justice League, which, by the way, at the time did not exist. They had to spend an additional $60-70 million to go back and reshoot. To go back and reshoot parts of Justice League that were not filmed at the time. So this fabled Snyder Cut of Justice League never really existed. Then the Snyder Cut of Justice League comes out. You know, the Snyder fanboys are incredibly happy, but now you've created a division. Now you have people that, you know, they want the Snyderverse continued, come hell or high water. And then you have James Gunn come in and say, no, we're going to scrap all that. We're going to scrap all that, and we're going to do our own thing, you know, starting from the Suicide Squad and onwards. So you already had one attempted pivot under the Walter Hamada era with Aquaman, and now you're having another pivot come just 4 years later, after you tease that you are open to continuing the Snyderverse, because why would you greenlight the Snyder Cut of Justice League if you were never intending to continue the Snyderverse entirely, right? I would argue DC, unlike Marvel, has never had any goodwill. They had the opportunity to earn goodwill with the release of Aquaman and Shazam, but again, they dropped the ball, and instead of just embracing it and, you know, rolling with the punches, nope, we're gonna pivot once again, right? So you have Green Lantern was a false start. Then you had the Snyderverse stuff that was Man of Steel up through Justice League. Then you have the Walter Hamada era with Aquaman, Shazam, Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 84. And now you have the James Gunn era. And this is all in the span of 10 fucking years. You have 4 changes to the cinematic universe. Who the hell can keep this shit straight? I'm running around in circles trying to understand the logic here, right? You have 4 different incarnations of the DCEU within just a 10 to 12 year period. It's absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, I want to circle back to something in the very beginning that I said, that the time for Blue Beetle has come and gone. And what I mean by that is Blue Beetle, for all intents and purposes, is a no-list character unless if you're a fan of DC. Right? Outside of the comic book realm and outside of DC, Blue Beetle is not a popular character. There was a time when you could take a relatively unknown character and make a billion-dollar blockbuster out of it. Look at Guardians of the Galaxy as a prime example. And that incarnation of Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy was based on the 2008 incarnation. If I can talk today. James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy was based on the 2008 incarnation that sold like dog shit, but it made Rocket Raccoon and Groot household names, right? The time for that to happen is long fucking gone, right? If Blue Beetle came out by 2016, 2017 at the extreme latest, right? If they listened to the criticism at the time, if DC listened to the criticism of Man of Steel at the time, that this is basically Hot Topic Superman, this is not the way to go down. Instead of doubling down with Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, if they came out and said, okay, you know what, we're gonna do Blue Beetle, it's gonna come out like 2016, 2017 at the absolute latest, it might have done better. But right now, you have the fact that audiences are getting sick and tired of all these superhero movies, because guess what? Not even Marvel is doing that well. You think Black Adam was the biggest bomb in the superhero genre, or Shazam: Fury of the Gods? Take a look at the entirety of Marvel Phase 4. The only movie in Phase 4 to really make a killing was Spider-Man No Way Home, and the only reason it made as much money as it butt fucking did was because it was nothing but a fucking nostalgia trip, was all it was. And on top of that, Disney didn't even make Spider-Man No Way Home. That was Sony, but still. Honestly, ask yourself, why did Spider-Man No Way Home make as much money as it did? Was it because of its connection to the MCU, or was it because of the nostalgia trip, bringing back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, on top of Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin, Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, Jamie Foxx as Electro, so on and so forth. But still, had Blue Beetle come out by 2016, 2017 at the extreme latest, it probably would have caught on. However, with the genre in decline, I have to ultimately end this video. I know I started this video with a question, and I'm going to end it with a question. Honest to goodness, who honestly gives a shit about Blue Beetle?